I've recently started buying lots of old tools from carboot sales. Now, carboot sale is like a flea market. People turn up, sell stuff they don't want anymore, and you can get some real good deals on old tools. And in this video, we'll be cleaning up a recent batch I bought. Enjoy. I did also get this box at the same time. I was looking through it and the guy just said to me, you can have the lot for £2. And yeah, so obviously I got that deal. There's a few little bits that are more useful than others, but I will clean all this up in another video because this one got too long. You want the oxy powder stuff. So anything with oxy is pretty good. There are many different ways that you could clean rust from old tools and restore old stuff. Now I like to use the oxy powder sometimes. It's a little gentler than some of the other solutions such as acids and electrolysis. But again, it does take a lot more elbow grease, so it takes longer. Now, which method you use, whether that's, evaporust, electrolysis, different acids, or even just a wire wheel and then oiling, they all have their, benefits and their downsides. The downside of this method is it does take a long time. And as you can see here, I did spend a significant amount of time just scrubbing all of the different tools. Once I'd finished my aggressive bathing of the tools, it's then time to coat them in some kind of protectant. Now you can use different things for this. You can use oils, paste waxes, Renaissance wax. So you can go for stuff that has high oil content and low wax, or just oil or just wax. I decided to use some homemade paste wax. Now I made this using some beeswax and some 3-in-1 oil. Now, you can use a neutral oil, but I only had some 3-in-1 on hand, and they're all tools that are going to be used so obviously it's not food safe, but for tools that you're actually going to use, this stuff is ideal. Paste wax. The first tool that's going to get a waxing is this pair of carpenter's pincers. Now it does look like one of the claws has snapped off the end, but they should still work for what they're designed for. I was also pretty lucky to find this pair of parallel pliers. Now this type came with the screws so they could be taken apart quite easily, and they're also in pretty good nick considering that they were sold for £1. Pin hammers like this are actually really common, and you can pick them up at car boot sales every week. They're not a rare tool, but the handle on this one did come out really nice. It polished up nicely with the paste wax. I do need to rehandle this hammer as it's currently held on with screws. One of my favourite tools from this batch has to be this old adjustable spanner. Now, I couldn't find any exact branding on it, but it does say forged steel on the jewels. It was completely seized, but after wiggling it with a screwdriver in the jewels and adjusting the screw, I did get it loose. After cleaning up the thread and oiling it, it works perfectly. Apparently, I must have really liked tin snips when I went this week. As you can see, I picked up quite a few different types. These ones are by a brand called Silbo. They're also a slightly different design than what I normally see. That's why I picked them up. This is an old brace and bit countersink. Now, if you don't know what brace and bit is, basically just a hand crank drill. You can use it by hand, or you can chuck it up in a modern drill, but it will wander. Now, this set of tin snips actually have a pretty cool logo. So it's a W and a P inside of an anvil. Now, I wasn't able to track it down. I was guessing Peterite, but given the layout of the logo, I'm not sure who actually made this. So if you know, leave a comment below. Here we have an old style saw set. Now this is for adjusting the set on different saw teeths. It is marked, but it looks like it might just be a name of an apprentice name. In my hands it looks like we have another apprentice tool. Now this one looks like the square of a apprentice machinist, and it is marked with a J and an S. Here we have a small hammer. Now I'm not sure exactly what this hammer would be used for, but I do have a plan in mind for this tiny little hammer. No running. Here we have a nice classic set of pliers. I don't think they have any brand on them, but they're pretty skookum, and they've got some nice detailing on them. Here we've got a pretty pitted old Nicholson hand smooth file. I might use it as a file, but it's probably pretty dull. This looks like a casted claw hammer. Nothing too special about this one, but once I handle it up, it'll be pretty useful. And here we have the Eclipse folding hacksaw. Now it did come with a brand new blade, and I also managed to pick up the wood saw blade. That was from a different store, but it does fit this hacksaw. That means I can use this on both metal and on wood, and on plastic if I want to. Once I'd finished coating the tools in the paste wax, it was time to put them away. Now this is definitely where they'll stay, and this definitely wasn't just for the video. And yeah, I hope you enjoy how nice they look. Bit big, bit too big. Voila. Enjoy.